Okay, we're on.
All
We're on.
right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
So just to continue, I think we're down to OEM right now, emergency management. There's really only one thing to note there. There's been a request for some vehicle equipment, which is just a truck cabinet for the new vehicle that was purchased last year, $5,000. It seems like a legitimate request, but I just wanted to note that is in there.
What is the truck cabinet?
It's just to fit in the back of the vehicle and
Like have
for various storage for
Like with the police fire chief has? One of those?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a rack system,
Right.
just
For equipment, for need
yeah,
when there's
all
an
different
emergency.
equipment. Yep. So that's really kind of a
That's an
one-time
efficiency
hit
thing.
this year. Wall vac. So one thing to note there with wall vac and fire, there has been requests from each organization for clothing allowance increase. So I just wanted to put that out there. This budget does not have it included in there. So it's just kind of something for discussion. If you want to.
Yeah, so for both of those, kind of in column H, you'll see that essentially I just put what they spent last year, right? Rather than, like, the Wallvac spent 21,000, kept that at 21,000. Fire spent only 15,600, so rather than bump it to 20, I just kept it at 15,600.
Just a little background on that. With Wallvac, it's a flat amount that they get. We pay them their clothing allowance and whatever is left, sent to them as a contribution to their occupation.
Okay.
So, that's not what the total clothing.
That's not what they actually spent.
That's what we had set a cap, and it was been there for a while.
So,
And we take insurance payments out of that 21, as well as the clothing. And we ended up this year spending about $9,000 as, leftover contribution for the year.
And all that's a little bit different.
yeah,
Yeah. They don't
Don't
get
ask
nothing
me.
from them.
Their budget's 21,000.
Yeah, and they only
Compared
this
to-
year asked for one capital item for pagers. Seems like a pretty fair request.
Mhm.
okay. But is everyone good with the fire uniforms?
Well, what it was. I mean, what are they justifying why they need more?
It was 15, we budgeted last year 20, we spent 15,600, and we just,
Well, the other thing with the clothing fire allowance, it's set, it's either an ordinance that
Right.
actually states the amount.
Right.
And that amount's put in there because you never know if you're going to be additional volunteers.
okay, so
Can I-
20,000's ordinance, we have an ordinance that says
Well,
20,000.
yeah, it caps it at 22.5.
But it caps it, but we can,
So we can go up to that. We can play.
We can
with
go
that.
up to it.
Yeah.
But they got 15.6 this year.
They used
They
15.
use 15.
They use
And they could use
15.6.
15.6 next year.
so yeah, and listen, I think that, again, I'm hearing this, I'm given to understand that even, there are some checks going out to somewhat inactive fire.
How are they
Say
reporting the numbers? Are
volunteers.
they using the NIFRS report, which is the actual official state documentation that goes to the state of New Jersey
So
as to
they would have
response
to
time?
speak to that. I get a report.
From the
that
chief?
Basically shows percentages. and
Because I used to do it when Gary was here, and I gave him exactly what was the real numbers, and that caused a lot of trouble. But as far as I was concerned, it's a document, it's a legal document, and if it gets, cross-referenced against what goes to the state, no one can ever argue it. So I don't know if that's how it's being handled, but I think that's something that needs to really be looked at. And I would push back and ask about that.
But I would leave it at 15.6.
Yeah, 15.6 is a,
Yeah, leave it at 15.6, and it'll be my to-do to find out how they are based on that report that they give you.
and
You
Andy,
want a little cushion for new members, though?
No.
No.
Thank you, Andy.
um,
The way they're
Andy,
going, they're throwing out members, so they don't have to worry about new members.
they're decreasing in size, I think. Andy, the training is another one.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand. Along those same lines, the training budget more than doubled, and I'm just trying to understand that one.
Yeah. So that. All right. We could jump down.
Quick,
Did you not want to talk about the safety equipment?
yeah.
Where's that?
'Cause that was
Yeah,
something
wait,
that I
what
had
about?
brought up
you-
yesterday.
Yeah, and you have also remove assistant chief.
Yeah, that's right, so we'll jump into the fire department. now.
Oh, okay, oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were going all the way
No,
down.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, no, yeah.
So a couple things to note, just in contracts first. Initially, I think even yesterday when we had met, that was higher. 7,500 was actually taken out of that. Originally, we had accounted for, that was the amount if they were to switch to county dispatch services. So they put that in there in their original request. We're not going down that road, so that was pulled out. So that actually dropped that line down pretty significantly from what we originally showed you guys. Then uniforms, we just talked about.
Can I stop and ask a question about that? The reason why we're not going county is it a financial savings or what?
Well, it's just a much bigger discussion, because it would affect operations on our side. The county, to be honest, from my perspective, I actually went toward the facility, heard them out. They admittedly said they're not quite ready to take on new towns yet, and this was just for fire, so they're,
When was
to
it
be
started?
honest, they're right now trying to get new towns in and involved. So they're in this weird space where they need new towns to sign on before they can hire more dispatchers to cover the need. So the feeling there is a little bit uneasy right now that they're actually ready to take on any town.
But I thought it was a cost savings if we did.
It would
What,
be,
Dawson County?
Yeah.
so for just fire, it would be a little bit of cost savings.
What's
We'd
a
have
little?
to add in the benefit, because in some of the research I did back in November, talking to other towns that are fully with the county, they are not happy at all with the level of service they're getting. They're having a lot of problems, and one of the issues is once you switch over to county, you cannot come back out, because you switch all your equipment, your frequencies over to them, and then you're pretty much stuck. So if you had a bad experience, to come back out, it's almost impossible.
And a lot of the
Once
mayors are
and
doing
done.
the same thing again, but they regret doing it.
So what I think I'm hearing is that it might be a cost savings for us down the road, once the county gets,
They're active.
technically speaking, yes.
But it might
Once
not,
they,
Okay.
once they
Yeah, I
improve-
think
no,
it would be in our
why don't you
best
just say
interest
when they
to
improve their
wait.
services.
but it
I
might be a
was,
safety issue for us, because we don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I was just, I just wanted more information
You
about
got
that.
certain people pushing.
Steve, just to be objective with it, is there any way to calculate what the savings would be?
Yeah, I think we could I'll get a more solid number.
Just
Just
to
one
be
in my
objective.
head, but I don't, I'll
Yeah,
get you.
because if it's like $500,000, it's different. If it's
No,
$5,000, it's, you know what I'm saying?
In the grand scheme, I want to say it's like several $1,000s.
Okay.
So it's
So it's
fairly
not-
insignificant for that big of a move. You're talking about totally shifting your procedure.
Don't we have to get all new radio systems in there?
Yeah, the pagers would have to be upgraded, which was included
Well,
for
just-
$30,000.
Logistics behind it aside, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Correct.
So, you know,
And
I mean, I'm all about saving money, but if the system is not mature enough yet to accommodate all of the towns it's looking for, I don't know.
And are the
It's a
costs
fair way
based
to
on the
say
current model? So if they have X number of people, as they incorporate more and more people, does that cost go up? Because they're county people, they're not gonna be making chump change.
And I know, well, they're trying to increase the salaries too, to
Yeah.
attract and retain. The problem with those dispatchers, nationally statewide, is retention.
Mhm.
So, and I know, just quick note, there's some other things at play within the region. There is another regional service that is available to us, that's a higher cost, so it's something that would really have to be explored in more detail.
Steve, I have a question. It's not highlighted, but more than a quarter of the contract cost comes from cellular for iPads for 3,900. What does that cover?
So, from my understanding, it's all the data plans for the iPads in the rigs. All of them.
Are you talking fire?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's, 99% of that
Yeah.
is just that, yes. So when you go out of the firehouse, you know not only where you're going, but what you're gonna see when you get there. Where is there a hydrant? Where is there a secondary water source? Height of buildings perhaps, everything's encompassed there. As long as they get the correct address, they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and then with the E-bets, the dispatch system, as people go on, they click that they're gonna be responding, so you know your manpower as well.
It saves a lot of time.
Can I ask a question?
There are no
$1,500 to have a chief's vehicle clean?
Wait,
Doesn't
what?
leave his- Doesn't leave his driveway, why is he getting clean?
So that was a carryover, so you could explore.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not leaving his driveway, which is a known fact.
Yeah,
but I
he's
see it
right.
every day.
Getting the new one last year, maybe?
No,
Was that from COVID?
Cleaning chief's vehicle, $1,500. If it doesn't leave his driveway, why are we paying $1,500 to have it cleaned?
but don't they clean the trucks and everything at the firehouse?
I'd like to know what the $1,500 is going for.
Are we paying APC to wash
The
it?
car wash.
Yeah, but what are they washing when they don't use it?
I think we should revisit the fact that we have two on the road as well.
Who in driveway?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I go out for a walk every day, and I see one parked in the same spot every single day. So it may get better use if it's on the road more, in which case we'll pay for the car washes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe
We
that,
don't take 1,600.
maybe that could be the detective's car.
We're increasing it by $2,000. Small dollars.
There's a lot of soap in there. Soaps. $2,000 in soaps.
You gotta pay more money for rags.
But the budget was $2,000 last year.
So I think what we have to do is you have to have a conversation about what's going on with your vehicles.
Cleaning
Why is
chief's
the car wash being
vehicles,
done this way?
1,500?
Why are vehicles staying on your driveway? Why are they not on the road? Why, if you go to work, the vehicles there are not on fire, call them in the
They
day?
add up all
That's
these
what
to
we need
come
to
up
talk
with
to them about.
this number.
I think it's a larger discussion. I agree.
Very large
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, and,
But what we were told in the
Yeah, take
beginning is
that.
not what's being done now.
and the plan is to follow up with them soon. We're trying to have that as part of our kind of OEM discussion. So
Everybody.
maybe we could follow up together on that one, if you want to follow up.
And I'd be happy to.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not picking, but the thing is, no, I am picking. The residents should not have to see cars in the driveway when there's fire calls.
I agree, and the safety equipment was the one I had the question on. So did we just not buy safety equipment last year?
They just actually purchased at the end of December.
Okay, so it just isn't
We just
updated.
didn't write, we just
Okay.
got the bill in January.
That
Yeah,
the-
you
that's
literally
the one we
just
had
signed the
problem with?
PO yesterday. Actually, I'd reached out to make
That's the one we
sure.
had the problem with the home hardware?
Okay.
No.
Was it 6,000? Was it like a full 6,000?
I'm pretty sure it's
Okay,
that
okay.
full amount. I'll follow up with the exact cost, but yeah, you just let me know that just.
Okay. And I guess while we're having the discussion with the fire department on the training as well.
Yep. So that one, they said they just ordered new harnesses, so the training is to cover the training on the new equipment.
What's a harness?
So there's different
A
types,
harness?
if you
Oh,
guys
yeah,
want to go into more.
yeah.
detail.
We have a ladder truck in town. Anybody goes on a ladder truck has gotta be harnessed. And it's much the same as it's along the same lines of a mask.
Okay.
That mask is your mask. This harness is your harness.
Okay.
And it's fit to you.
Okay.
Some are larger than others, but.
Yeah, I just flagged,
Now, is this tra-
I just flagged any item
Is that
that was greater than
reference to me?
100%.
No, not at all.
100% increase.
Well, you're a T-shirt fireman, it doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Okay.
But that's the answer.
Okay.
Could I ask you a question, bud? This training's like, they have to every year, right? Unfortunately.
The answer is I don't know, but I'll find out.
Because we should put in the budget every year then, if this is what they're doing.
Okay. And I'll find out. I don't know.
Yeah, but definitely for this year, new piece of equipment, so training.
Fire police, why are we going from 150 to 400? What's different?
What's different is they just haven't utilized the full amount.
Then why are we giving them more?
Recent years. Well, we're actually dropping it. It's going
It's
from
800.
800 to 400.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah. And that was even, they only spent 150, but there was a request for some new uniforms, vests, things like that. So we kept some of that.
Does that money filter through the chief's account from the town?
Correct.
Or
So-
is there a separate line item, if you will, for the fire police?
So this is in their operating budget, fire operating budget, which the chief has the ultimate say over, and the fire police.
I think
And
the
it
chief
is a
controls the
separate
fire
line
police.
But it's a separate line item for fire police.
Mm-hmm.
So the fire chief is the one that makes the decision what gets spent. Not the
So it's all within his budget,
Correct.
and he can discretionally move it from one line item
Well,
to
yeah,
another
but-
within the budget that he's allocated.
Yeah, I mean, you say move, you could charge to a different line as.
Like if he wanted to buy gloves for the department because he didn't have any money for that, he could reallocate that money from the fire police to buy the gloves.
Well, what we tell, the
Right.
Departments is that, you know, if you weren't budgeted enough in a particular line item, still charge it to that line item and be prepared to explain why you went over, rather than play games, you know, moving it to where there is money. So, you know, that should only have the fire, police, but.
So whatever they buy in the fire police should be going to the fire police.
Correct. And
Not
you would
to
be able
anything else.
to see it if it's not, so if they overexpend that line,
I mean, ultimately, at the end of the year, if they spend, you know, overspent their whole, budget by 400, it would be an offset to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do the segregation.
So we could skip down.
Fire prevention funds, right?
Yeah, fire prevention's pretty easy. There was one little change, we cut it down a little bit. They had a request for a new computer system, which would actually streamline things in that department, so, we wanna keep, you know, some money in there. And that's also for iPads for inspectors and things like that. They should also be coming online with Edmunds through the same module, as a construction code. It's all inspection based, so they should fit within that also.
And just note that it says vehicle, computer equipment. Technically, that's where, in the past, vehicle money has been budgeted, that none of that money is for vehicle. Just the title on that.
Right.
that appropriate.
That's fire prevention.
Street and road maintenance, traffic paint, hardware supplies, we kind of kept where it was. It was a little higher, last year. We actually think, so the utilization number is a little higher just because things were discharged to a different line. You know, some things for water might have come out there, so I think that's where that difference is. So we feel good about keeping it pretty healthy though at 17.5, just anticipating some more painter and traffic additions this year.
The drain basin. Did we confirm, was that just paid out of capital?
We think out of capital and water. Yeah,
Capital and water.
just kind of, charged to a different line.
So we're just gonna keep it at 8,500?
Like, keep it there.
Yeah?
Yep.
And we'll just make sure that it gets charged
Yeah,
from
we'll
here?
try and clean that up, make sure things are being charged to the proper lines. And hand tools, again, you know, last year, they just might not have had the need, or it might have gotten charged to a different line again. Might have gotten charged to order some of the tools, but, you know, talking to them, they would like to keep that in there, just in case. Obviously, you never know when the shovel's gonna break, or things like that, so I think that's pretty fair.
The CDL training, everybody is, everyone in the DPW has the CDL license?
So, no, we have one who's in school still right now, and we have one that is very close, done with the schooling and looking to take it.
Do we have a policy about the time frame?
Yes.
And everybody following?
So far, good.
We don't have an adopted, I don't think we have a formally adopted ordinance or resolution on how to deal with reimbursement for certain things. And we've had issues in the past where there was a he said, she said scenario. So after we get through the budget, it may be something we want to revisit.
I think so.
Yeah, I think including something like that in the policy would be a good idea, kind of along the lines, I think I mentioned this before, just with any type of education. If you take a class and, you know, it fits the role of the job, then you're good, but a certain time limit on that. If you
Would we-
decide to leave us with a license, and you want that.
Yeah,
money
there's a
now.
time frame, yeah. If you leave,
I mean,
get your
that's-
license, then leave right away.
I mean, that's
Get it
not
right.
uncommon in any industry, both public and private.
Right, and we don't have
Usually-
anything on the books.
And that could be,
We have something in our employee manual.
Not,
Not
not
specific?
specific to that.
Okay, so we'll do an ordinance and
Yeah.
then put it in the
Yeah.
manual.
Yeah.
I was just at a session, we discussed this, and they did say that those agreements are very hard to enforce. It's always good that, they did recommend having them on the books, but just know, if you say someone leaves within 2 years, they take 50% back, you might not always get that money back, but it's still good to have it on the.
Sure,
on the
sure.
books.
And I think the dispute, this case was, the individual was expecting 100% reimbursement, whereas the borough was expecting a 50% reimbursement, and just laying that out clearly, I think is going to avoid any future.
That was a misinterpretation on the administrator.
Exactly, but without it in a policy, it's open
Open,
to,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Discretion.
I know there's different types of ways you can do it too, like taking the class or, and then passing the test. That's, there's different reimbursement rates
Right. Yeah, I know.
too, because otherwise you can never take the test.
Right. Why are
Yeah.
you taking the class if you're not really going to
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's things, you know, you might give them one shot at the test. If you don't pass the first time, you're like, we're only gonna pay for one time. You pay for the test the next time.
I have a question on the boots and gloves. That one is like $2,300 less utilized than what we budgeted for. Do we need to budget for that much money?
2290-0.
Yeah, so that, and correct me if I'm
So-
wrong, but
so-
that's budgeted for the max amount. That's
Yeah, so I keep track of their spending, but not every DPW member always uses their allotment. It's up to them to really buy stuff and we
Okay.
reimburse them.
Okay.
Going down to snow removal, so actually, maybe should have highlighted that one, but that was one that Colleen and I kind of looked at and felt pretty okay about cutting that back from 2023. We actually have a snow trust where some of that gets made up, but still, you want to have some there. You never know what winter's going to bring. So.
I have a question. The New Jersey Transit property, is there do we get a fee from them when we plow it? Or is there
No, we're required to maintain the.
we're
property.
required, that's the deal we have with them?
That's the deal.
Okay.
We're working on a new deal with them, but that will still be in there. We'll still be required.
Yeah.
That's part of
Okay.
our responsibility.
Understood.
Skipping down, there's not much we could go into solid waste. It's all contractual. Obviously, there's some increases there, which we're all fortunately aware of.
So we're contracted with them for 5 years, right? And is it 5 years or 3? I can't remember.
5 years.
5
This is-
years?
This is year 2, we're
This is
starting
year
now.
2. So we should expect for the next 4 modest increases, but in year 5, they could hit us with another $250,000, $300,000 increase. Last year, when we went through this exercise, we agreed that we would, at the very least, to be objective, look at what it would cost if we brought that in-house. And it's going to take several years to get that operational, so hopefully we can start to revisit that this year. There'll be some capital expenses, some potential employee costs, but, I mean, this is, yeah, it's $500,000, so.
You know, we should reach out to the county, because the county, one time when we had a mayor's meeting with the shared service director, and he was saying that the county probably should get to do it for us, if they're willing to talk. So maybe we should reach out to the county.
What about composting? That's, my environmental hat keeps coming
I heard
back.
they're doing it on
30 to 40% of our waste is compostable. If we had some type of program that we did in-house, we could potentially offset that number by 30%.
Yeah.
By weight.
By weight.
Where-
We
okay.
just had a meeting the other day, and one gentleman,
How much
one
space do you
household
need?
is generating close to 2,000 pounds.
1 acre.
So 1 ton.
What's that?
And we have, what, 4,000 residents, approximately? So if you say on average, that's 4,000 tons at $90 a ton, that's $360,000 a year,
So-
potentially, if we put a program in.
What's compliance like with residents, though, on something like that, though? You probably get, 5%, 10% that follow it? I'm certainly not going to dig through my trash and separate it.
No,
Well,
not after
so-
it's already done.
There's
No,
different
Dewey.
models.
There's different models.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's like he knows. He can be the perfect person to talk about it too.
there's different models. There's the old way, everybody just green items, your vegetables. Now a lot of these outsourced companies will take anything that is biodegradable, meat, bones, anything. So if you were to take your trash and just say, okay, I got another trash can, so I got a recycling can, I got my garbage can, which you can't take, and then the other stuff that it's just another bin. And then you have a collection system where you collect it and you drop it off, or you have the people drop it off. Some programs will utilize a key point where you drop it off, or other towns will pick it up. The towns are finding it's very cost-effective. Problem right now is the outsourced companies that charge you, it costs more than throwing it out. But if you go and do some type of program where, you look at it, Steve and I talked about it. I mean, we have that big place down where the leaves go. And that's our property. There's grants available that you might be able to get the initial startup done. And then you have, and that's just assuming if you just throw it there and you eliminate your waste. The other thing is, it potentially could be a source of income, because the material has actually got value. So even if that offset your cost to collect, the revenue that generated, you're still almost positive, just under $400,000 a year. That's huge.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might do it now.
Oh, I won't, but if everyone else in town does, then it'll
What
work.
if we came and picked it up?
I appreciate your.
But I mean,
Yeah.
again, that's making, I'm talking about on average. If you say on average it's 2,000, now a home that's got 4 people, and they might generate 4,000 pounds. I didn't think, and it's the right thing to
Something worth
do.
It's worth to
exploring.
look at.
I think it's something we should
Definitely
look
worth to
at.
Yeah, to seriously look at it.
Because I think it's got potential. I mean, it's a big, and the other thing that you could always think about is if we do it here, does it open up the opportunity that you could bring other towns in and process it? And now you're generating income from other municipalities, then maybe we get a zero net on our disposal cost.
Any downside to it? Smell?
Smell.
We already
Yeah,
have enough
but-
smells over
Okay,
there.
first of all,
No, but we can always
it's
blame the sewer
down,
authority.
we'll just blame it on the sewer authority.
Yeah,
Did I say that? No, it's
You're
gonna
on
be,
record.
I mean,
You're on record.
it's anaerobic, it's an anaerobic,
a different
the thing
smell.
is, it gets so hot, it really, you get those piles up that if you went to a place that has this in the wintertime, those piles are probably close to 100 to 150 degrees. So it's cooking,
Even in the winter.
even in the wintertime.
So even,
They would talk about.
so,
Well-
very.
No, this is
say
very
we put-
top of
Put
line.
it somewhere like the mulch bin.
Highwood Avenue.
There's different systems out there where you could have very large, if you had vast open space,
Yeah.
just put it out in a big field and have huge piles. There's other systems that it's the vortex system, where you really need just a small plot of land, like less than a quarter acre of land, right? Simple asphalt, then basically you just cover it.
The shrink wrap,
Big
like-
rubber mat, and it cooks it even quicker. So
Yeah.
the processing is actually quicker, it contains the smell. So
I think we
it's,
should put it in Mike's backyard.
I think so. He's got a lot of piece of property.
Yeah, how much property?
Near your
does the guy
pool.
have?
In a pool.
Yeah.
Near your
For the
pool.
pool.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be your cabana house.
So when you barbecue, you can smell it.
Yeah.
so it's just an option that I think,
It's
is
just a thought.
worthwhile exploring.
Yeah, it's definitely worth looking at.
I would see it as like 2 phases. One is just the processing collection is a lot
Need a
to
piece of
work
property.
out.
Yeah,
If you got something in place, then you would look at the actual
property.
marketing of it and how to do profit.
right.
But one of the issues with food waste just in New Jersey is they're trying to push it. There's nowhere for it to go right now.
Correct.
So the state's pushing it, but they don't have the facilities to process it. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where we're at.
So we think it could reduce roughly 40% of our waste costs?
I'd say 30.
All right, so we're looking at like
It potentially could be
150,000.
as high as 40, but I would say, because people like yourself that don't want to do it, the odds are that the 30% number is probably more realistic.
The model average citizen.
Well, if you go to
You're
Tamron.
Joe Citizen.
Yeah, but I think it's like anything else, it's,
It
if you.
catches on.
It
It
does,
catches
catches
on.
on,
And
right.
I think as you see more younger folks, they're very top of mind that, we have to live here. Piles are getting larger and larger, and we're running out of space to get rid of waste.
Well, look at
Correct.
Dave Zakowski, how much he does in his backyard.
And he's just doing vegetative
Yeah.
waste. I know.
I think it's a great idea.
So one possible thing too that we've kind of talked about loosely is there's pilot programs out there
Yep.
available that are going on in some other towns in the state to just gather data purely for data
Yep.
collection to see
Yeah.
kind of what you actually pull out and how people program. So for, I would say, maybe a few $1,000s, say, you get 50 to 60 households to sign up for this pilot program, which would be a drop-off program. You know, the town could subsidize it or charge a fee to participate in the program, minimal, you know, maybe $40 to $50 for 6 months, right? And then you collect all that data, how much food waste you could actually collect from those people, add it up, and you could put some numbers together to give you a
Yeah.
better idea.
Would you want to be in the pilot? Mike?
I think if,
And then facility, if you got restaurants to sign, to buy into it
Well,
too.
technically in the state of New Jersey.
Or you can't.
There is a
Oh,
law.
they're supposed
to.
That states that they are supposed to. As Steve alluded to, there's only one facility,
Yeah, I was
and you
gonna
have to
say-
be within 25 miles of it.
Right,
It's in the middle of nowhere. So nobody utilizes it.
okay.
They put, it's typical.
So you have
they
to-
ma-
you're
They
supposed to-
mandated
They
a law.
but they didn't give
but
They
didn't put
mandated it, but
any-
nobody's within 25 miles of it.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then you don't have to do anything.
Correct.
Right.
Okay,
Sounds like a state.
yeah, sounds like a good
Oh,
idea.
boy, okay.
So, but they could, I mean, but then theoretically, if we started something, the businesses could be included in it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the
Even with the
business,
pilot.
now, but with a business, you can charge.
Correct.
So you can charge a
That's what
fee.
that was kind of my
Yeah.
end game.
And it
on
would
that.
be, and I mean, I look at it this way, if their tipping fees are 50 every time they tip, we said we'll charge you 25.
Yeah,
For them, it's easy for them to get involved because they're gonna like, hey, it's gonna cost me half of what I'm paying right now. And they probably generate the most, but right now, we
Correct.
don't see that because
we don't see that, it's a private.
it's
private
privately
hauler.
handled.
So, could pull some information together, maybe come up with a formal pitch.
yeah, so I think if I, to summarize, there were 3 things. So the first was maybe speak to the county about them doing trash collection.
See what their policy is.
An alternative is what would our costs be and what are the logistics if we were to do it, and then the composting.
Good.
Okay.
If we do it, I'll still have to fire.
Right,
Oh,
of course,
shit.
yeah. So we're looking at, yeah, so I think if we look at all of these in.
No, I gotta
in
go.
you know, if we look at all of these. in-
Kelly fell and busted her nose running. Okay.
I think if you want anything like that to be successful, we'd have to pick up, we'd have to subsidize.
I gotta go.
Pick up for the residents.
You're right.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
What you do, break a nose?
Yeah. Yep, running.
Good luck, yeah.
Hey. Where are you? All right, I'll be right there. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, get out of here, go. If she come up, need the ambulance, get it right away.
Should we go to public buildings and grounds?
Yeah. We'll jump down to public buildings and grounds. So, just a real quick couple things to, you know, contracts, we like to keep that high, just in case there's increases, things pop up, you know, the same with building maintenance on all the buildings. You know, we wanted to keep fairly healthy. I see in one of your scenarios, you dropped it down, which I think would be fine. You know, there was a couple ideas for this year is maybe painting, you know, Borough Hall lobby, working on some of the office spaces actually could use a spruce up at this point. So just keep that in mind. I think it is an area where we like to have some cushion, but also an area that we could work with. I think the
Or-
type of
or is
painting
it
we
too
were
much
looking
involved
for
with
would
the
be
scaffolding?
contracted out.
Okay.
Building is-
Sometimes it's just too much with like scaffolding and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they paint.
The building is over 22 years old.
Yeah.
And we get compliments all the time in terms of how well we're maintaining it. And it's important to
Yeah.
make sure that we keep up to it.
When we had the Jersey Sustainable meeting here the other night, a lot of the towns that were here, they complimented how nice this room is.
We have to touch paint.
How the colors were nice
Yeah,
and how
I
it
wanna
looked
put
so
accents
nicely
all around.
updated and,
Yeah, so I, proposed 135,000 for that line item, just assuming that it could go a long way. So what did we spend, do we have a sense for how we utilized the 130 last year? Yeah, I think it would just, it's, this is you're gonna hear this probably from all of us every year, right? But this is the year where we need to be very careful, and just because of the reassessment and what we're trying, a lot of residents feel like they're being pulled in 3 different directions between us, the school, and the reassessment.
So you're looking for a printout on the, which one?
I just am trying to understand, I don't
Buildings
even.
and grounds, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, how did we spend the 130, and is it reasonable to expect that we could spend 135 and get everything that we wanted done with that budget?
Do we do preventative maintenance on a lot of the items, like the HVAC and things like that? Is there contracts where they do PMs on those?
Yeah.
There is.
Now, the police department, fire department, they're all in good shape.
They can use some improvements. Yeah, the
I mean,
roofs, we seem to be in good shape for.
I mean, the
at least a
interiors
couple
of the
years.
police have been done, they're all right.
There's some upgrades that
Like,
can be
fire
done.
department, they do their own, so they're okay.
Yeah, I think more cosmetic upgrades. But I think some.
Painting and carpeting.
It's
Yeah,
painting, I
painting,
got a guy.
carpeting.
Where?
Here.
Here.
Also.
Not here, not this floor.
I think you should put up with
Yeah, I think
The
the
whole
office
thing,
spaces
in
could
and out.
use some work, some attention. So we'll get more details on that.
Repairs to vehicles, which is just below it. Trying to understand, how did we spend 186,000 in repairs? Do we really need to add 10,000 to it?
Yeah, again, that was just kind of another line. We like to keep healthy
Mhm.
for just in case. And just to note on some of these, this was an area where I believe we had some significant transfers to other lines
Mhm.
where we were short because other areas were pretty lean. So we kept some other areas covered.
Okay.
Now, this repair, these are all the vehicles we have, the whole, all of them.
Mhm.
Yes, fire, police, DPW,
Yeah,
Did-
just whether 2023 was a heavy year or a light year with repairs, I think is really the level of detail out there. Yeah.
I just have a question, I want to go back for a second. What fields do we paint for $6,000?
Where is that?
It's under building maintenance.
Lacrosse
Paint,
fields.
Soccer and lacrosse fields.
They're gonna do the veteran center.
Well, vets, from what we've been told, the only one that uses it now is Warriors FC, which is a club program. So I don't see why we should pay for paint their fields.
Is that what's his name is running?
No,
What does,
Feltman is lacrosse.
no, the other guy, Raphael, what is he?
Raffaele is, he doesn't run anything.
I thought he used to run.
He doesn't do,
No.
he helps.
Oh, okay.
But the FC is Brian Dodwell and Mike Gabriel.
Yeah, Mike gave.
And they have nothing to do with,
They're not anything to do with the borough.
then why are we doing it?
That's the question.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of one thing we are starting to look into this year is kind of some formal agreements and maybe changing the fees for some of these,
Yeah.
on our property, use of field. So, field maintenance, if we want to provide that, then it should be included in some type of agreement.
Yeah. So we recoup.
I mean, when we met with them, obviously it's way off topic, but they complain about the quality of Vets Field. There's still problems there with the drainage and some of the grass is gone in some of the areas where they use it heavily. They're the only organization that uses that field heavily now. Rec says they don't use it. It's just the travel soccer organization. And then their other area that is probably underutilized right now because of the field quality is Traphagen. And that supposedly is Board of Ed property, but we pay to maintain it.
So that program, that Veterans Field, they're charging people to use the field, they get money.
They charge
And
kids
then we're
a
getting.
lot of money.
And we're getting nothing,
We get nothing.
and we're striping.
And we're striping it.
We gotta look into that.
100%. We already started those meetings.
Absolutely. I mean, that, you know what, if it's for our residents, it'd be a different story. But this is for people that.
They are residents, let's point out, there are kids.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
They're there, but it's kind of a club.
It's a club, it's not like a.
Private organization.
Yeah, it's a private club. You have to join it.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not the school kids.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. We'll look into that one.
I understand we're paying double Midland Park, right? Roughly.
Yeah, I wouldn't go into detail over other kinds of contracts necessarily.
I would like to renegotiate that. How do we pull them in and?
So
Ball
we're
rolling?
in the early process of that right now. So they wanted a 3-year contract. We actually asked for just 1 year. So we kind of have it this year. Just because of the timing, we really had to move forward. But I think that's a big area where we can explore more different options, maybe negotiate.
I'm setting up a committee to.
Okay,
Setting
good.
up a committee to look into other options.
Because we have some leverage right now, and we should use it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And on a different note, was it a conversation you had with them, they want to meet with us? I thought about it, and we'll meet with them as long as they give us what we're asking for with the money, which they haven't done yet. You tell us why we're spending that much money, then we meet. You know how we feel, you know what we want from you. You know, you gotta give us a little bit before I sit down and talk. You can't keep on asking and then give us nothing. I might be out of line, but I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, so everyone knows we did request some details over the services, how they got to the numbers that they're providing us.
Yeah.
We haven't received those details yet. We kind of got their formula sheet,
Yeah.
but there was no numbers plugged in.
Okay.
So there's some questions hanging out there that we're still pursuing with them. As you can see, they combined registrar services, their nursing services used to be broken out and billed separately.
Right.
They lumped everything into one contract, so it makes it even harder to kind of go line by line and really see what is
Yeah.
being charged.
What is the nursing service? What does the nurse do? That's the one that does the baby
The
clinic?
clinics, yeah.
And then the registrar?
How many people participate in that?
So for the
baby-
registrar, the mayor had asked,
Yeah.
me and Tatiana if we would take that on and take the training and state exam and become the registrar and the deputy registrar. And we said that we would do that. So, because if you look at the reports since I've been here, I mean, it's minimal of what they do for registrar. We don't have a funeral parlor. We don't have a hospital. We don't have, it's so minimal. And they're charging us really an arm and a leg,
They don't
so.
have any marriage certificates coming out, and I know that for a fact.
Yeah, because he's doing, most of them. So it's very minimal. If you were to look at those reports going back, you would see that the registrar services are pretty minimal.
The
So
only
we
thing they
could
might be
do that
doing a
in-house.
little bit is death certificates, but the thing is,
But
not
it's
that many people are dying in their homes in Walden.
Yeah, it's still not a
Right.
lot.
Right, it's
It's
not a
really
lot.
not a, the training.
Wouldn't
will
be a
do the-
burden for you.
It wouldn't be, yeah, we could do it.
We actually have those numbers now that we're getting the monthly
Yes.
reports, so we're seeing what's coming through.
Yes,
Mhm.
it's nothing.
It's a better
So,
thing than
it,
keeping it
yeah.
down.
Anyway, so that,
Thank you.
we're working on that.
We have a year kind of to explore.
Yeah, we have
all
a
Yeah.
whole
options.
year to do that. Yeah.
Because I had a question about, their breakdowns, too, that they have, those little nickel and dime things, the lead assessment, Terminex,
And that's something we kind of flagged as we have to really.
physician fees for the child health conference. That should be split between all the,
Yeah.
if that's
But it-
continuing ed for their folks, then
Right, and they're not really spending.
general
Yeah.
building maintenance.
So the way the
That's
child,
not,
so the
yeah.
child health clinics, there's a yearly administration fee. It's $125. It's been that since before I was here.
right.
If a child goes and has vaccinations, it's $20. And then if it's a exam, and even if it's an exam with vaccinations, it's $35. That's the total. So, and then I just bill the towns those fees, but it certainly is not, encompassing what is being charged.
Yeah.
So, at the very least, the admin fee would need to increase. I'm not sure who sets I haven't
Yeah.
looked at it. who sets that rate, that it's 20 and 35, you know?
Right.
I don't understand why you're the one billing.
I don't know.
Yeah, if it's
Well,
part
yeah.
of,
That
They
was
should.
one of the other things we're exploring as well.
We
because then
don't-
they have a fee in there for stigma-free.
Yeah, they have not got that
Wh- wh-
organization off the ground.
We haven't done anything with
I've
stigma-free.
tried with them, so
Yeah.
question them about that.
I even went to the,
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to have, because it's a,
Yeah, every town has.
no, it starts to be shabby, but I don't know. I guess my question was, is that what, the stigma-free, the $1,500, is that what's supposed to be used for outreach, or is that what the
Used
fee is?
for when they do a
To
program,
use
they
the
give-
stigma-free name?
Do
No, when they do a program, they do give away stuff.
Okay.
They haven't done
I
it
haven't
since
seen,
COVID.
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Because I went to the luncheon last spring. There was nobody there.
Joe,
I was the only person there from Waldwick.
Joe, you'll have to help.
And the nursing,
Question.
the nursing services, they combined it with the total.
Yeah.
Because they now have outsourced that to Valley. So we don't even have our own public health nurse supervisor anymore.
Okay.
Big time. Something we really want
Big
to look
time.
at. And we do have a meeting scheduled, so for Board of Health stuff, you could ask them just flat out. clarify
Now, what is
something.
this meeting? Which one is this? With the,
With the two commissioners, we'll set it up. I'm still back and forth.
not with
them.
us? Is that the one we spoke about?
Yeah.
Well, well, I don't mind going to a meeting with them, but before I have a meeting with them, I wanna know, give me total for what they're asking for.
Okay.
Then we'll sit down and talk.
Just so you can
They have to
digest
realize
the
that whatever they
information.
wanna talk about, it's not gonna change here with the room. So don't,
Yeah, that's
why they're
that's
calling
off the
for the
table already.
Well-
That's what I mean, I think we have leverage right now over them, and I get what we want before we do what we do. So,
yeah, I wanna know why we're paying that as much as we're paying.
In full disclosure, I sit on the Board of Health in the town I live in. Last year I was the president. I think I'm gonna be the president again. But, so I've been doing this for a number of years. And we have a really good shared health service with Wayne that we do. So I have a little bit of.
Good, you'll be on the committee.
Good.
Yep.
I think you told me that already.
Hired.
Yeah, no, that's
Good to-
one
that's
thing that
good.
we have to look into. I mean, it's like years ago when we had the problem with the sewer authority. Figured it all out, and we would be in charge of a lot, and things would decrease. We gotta look at this the same way.
So Mayor, then at the very least, before we even sit down with them, should we request?
Oh, I'm not gonna sit down with them until they give us why we're paying what we're paying.
Yeah.
I
Break.
told Steve to arrange a meeting,
Okay.
but now I've thought about it for the last couple of days, and, no, you're not giving us the information we need. So why should we sit down and talk? Give us what we need, we have it, and then when we sit down, we'll know what we're talking about. But if you're gonna come and talk to us about a room, don't come and talk to us about that, because the council already decided it's not beneficial for us.
Can we give them a deadline to provide this info? Because what if they just walk us through like 6
Yeah.
months and never give it to us?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we'll give them a set date. If they don't
Okay.
hit it, we'll just.
They're not private. It's not a private.
Like
Or
a
are they
quasi-
semi-private?
Yeah,
They're,
like
oh,
a
they're
quasi.
okay.
The other
That's-
leverage we have is they're using our space, right? So the deadline can be,
You got a
you
month.
don't give us this
You got a month to
information.
get that out and
you're
everything.
stop- you're- we'll tow it away and send you a bill.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, this is off the subject, but I still Board of Health. Should we reach out to the other towns that are associated with Board of Health and let them know what we're doing? Or just do it?
Well, so I think we've already been talking, I've been working closely with another town, another neighboring town. I don't want to mention anybody now. But they're fully involved and want to be closely involved throughout
So
this
then
whole
we'll update
process.
them all the time.
So we'll update them. That neighboring town makes perfect sense to partner with, just due to old agreements anyway. So I think we could kind of go that route and then branch out from there.
But we'll give them a time frame.
Okay.
In the interest of time, should we just hit the ones that change dramatically? We still have quite a bit to go.
We do.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. At this pace, we'll be here another 2 hours.
Negative.
Okay, what about the bus trip for the seniors? Don't know what that, why is that?
Bus trip, they requested an increase, so we kind of played with that line a little bit, and
What were they last year?
it was like, yeah,
You wanna go up 1,000 more?
which basically adds another trip for them.
Didn't we go up this year? Didn't
No.
we? No, we didn't?
We did.
We gave them a bump at our 100th anniversary. it's our anniversary gift.
They wanted
We
to
don't do it.
reallocate their money from a bus trip to their holiday.
And it's because they didn't have enough money to do a fourth trip, so, a fourth bus trip. That was
Oh,
part of the
okay,
issue,
so they
correct?
did.
I think this year
Yeah.
they did their 3 and they had like, let's
They
say,
had-
800 left and the trip was like 1,500.
They-
Yeah, that's.
They asked for the increase last year. We told them no. We said that's your budget.
I got a soft offer.
I
know
agree,
you
I
do.
agree.
Yeah,
We
I-
don't-
They're my people.
We didn't do a whole lot for them other than this.
No, I
so.
think that, you know what, they never take advantage. And they always invite us to events and, you know, they enjoy our pool.
Yeah.
So I think we
Yeah.
should just let them have what they don't, you know, they don't misuse it. It's
And
it's for them.
I know you don't have it highlighted, but we could certainly knock down the concerts and just do 3 concerts. I mean, I really think that, you know, if we, Tatiana and I were talking, you know, and she suggested, why don't we just do like a really big and cool one at the pool? And then just do 2 other ones. You know, and we had that Christine Spiro was here, she was $500, Tim Geisen is 500. Like, there are bands that we can get that are, you know, very reasonable, and you can bring this down, this 6,000, you know, even to say 3,000.
I mean, plus there's a lot of groups out there now that they might want to do it for nothing.
And also, Steve had talked
That's
about
Get out,
seeing if we
get
can
the
get some
name out.
sponsors.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
we have a lot of
Oh, yes,
sponsorship
sponsoring.
opportunities just in town. I know banks are usually
you could
pretty
hit the
willing
bank.
to do that.
Hit that bank.
I have a drum set, so.
Yeah,
could
they
do- that would
do.
be
Like,
great,
you
yeah.
could, there are options, and you could probably drop this to 3 safely.
Yeah.
But then we can still give them.
I know it wasn't highlighted, and you know,
But you can still give them.
No,
more.
we had kind of made a mental note of that one to talk about.
yeah.
Because there's a gentleman that,
Yeah.
he wants
Well, I
his son
think
to play for us,
This is
but he doesn't want to,
your
he
work
doesn't want to take money, so we
I
can
know.
ask. You can ask.
Yeah, there's a lot of options we have, and we could, and so that, I mean, I would say 3,000 is more than sufficient.
I think the big one here was, the sports equipment and games went up.
Yeah, so that highlighted in that line is paint, which at $13,000. So the thought behind that is, I think last year, so there was a big leak problem at the pool, right? They painted the pool, it actually seemed to really help. I mean, you're talking like 4 inches of water a day. I think it actually might have been more than that, just with the painting. So that seemed to really help. They wanted to paint it again this year, so you know, kind of looking for about another 13,000. I think we did it out of capital last year, but the thought process is to just incorporate it into operating and kind of keep it there, because it might not need to be done every year, but probably every other year. Really, once you start painting, you need to keep painting.
doing it.
And that's what happened.
Right.
We hadn't been doing it, so the feeling is that if we do it again, then we really have that seal.
Good seal. up
Good
there, yeah.
seal, and then next year we probably won't need to do it, and then the following year we will,
We
just
will.
exactly
But
what
at least
what
we
Steve
have
said.
it there,
Yeah.
so if we hit it or not.
And the DPW painted it. So it was
DPW
really
does
the
it in-house.
supply.
Yeah.
That
It was just
paint
the
is
supplies.
costly.
Yes,
There's a lot
it's
of
a
it.
latex.
Enough to destroy my W.
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
Paint
okay.
around
Yes,
it.
we're gonna do a burgundy.
Burgundy, all right.
You're gonna paint
So-
around the W.
When I leave, make it burgundy.
So that was that main reason for that increase.
And you're gonna add heaters to the pool?
Well, so hopefully, actually, look, I've been
$500 for electrical.
researching solar covers.
Yeah.
That's not included in this yet, but that's probably the most realistic option. Putting a heating system in is very costly.
Whether there
But-
is or isn't.
The solar covers do work.
The solar covers
Yeah.
for that size pool might actually go pretty
Yeah.
far.
Did you go in the pool last year after they painted it?
No.
I didn't either. I was wondering if if that, us
Helps.
keeping that water in there.
Should have.
Yes, it should have helped with the
Because you're not
temperature.
getting fresh
Another
water.
way to keep it
Or you're not putting that 50-degree water in there every morning. No, we're fine.
Only
They're
you.
never cold.
Only you.
Yeah.
Stop.
Hey,
Stop.
there's
We're
another way to
recording.
keep it
We're
warm.
recording.
Gee.
Correct.
Okay.
Start pumping water out of the baby. And then just real quick going down, chlorine, we know keeps going
It's
up.
going up.
So we just want to keep that nice and healthy there.
How about salt?
I was gonna,
Oh,
did we
to
talk
convert
about
it?
that last year
To
too?
convert is also very expensive.
I think we talked about that last year. There was a because the conversion fee, but I don't think we got a total.
Hamron converted there, they paid $3,000 just to convert. And they save money on the chlorine.
But the same money that
But
chlorine,
it's-
right?
I don't think a pool like that is, that's a big investment.
It's a lot of maintenance too, different we'd have to
There's
change the whole
different-
Oh, yeah,
filtration
yeah, you have to
system.
change everything.
And I don't know what's underground in
It's gonna
there.
come to your pool.
How about like,
Yeah, you keep your
have
numbers.
you ever
Just don't make sure
the,
it's
new
covered.
light filters?
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know if that's cheaper. It filters the water and it puts it with the UV lights.
Very, yeah.
Kind of what they have with sewer treatment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, just an idea.
Yeah.
What is pool events that you got rid of?
The what?
Water carnival?
Water
What
carnival.
is that? The 370 dash
It's a
0.
line we
the
hadn't
last-
been really charging to, honestly. I think that's kind of why we're just getting rid of it. It's-
Yeah, I mean, what
Yeah,
is
we
it?
think, we kind of combined and just had recreation
Yeah, recreation.
Oh,
programs,
okay.
or, you know, we can take that.
Okay.
Or if we wanted to put something back, just add a concerts, public events. Skipping down to court, pretty straightforward. They utilize a lot more of the interpretation services, so that's why that got a bump.
No, we have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we don't get reimbursed for it?
No.
You required to offer that. Going down, it's a lot of just contracted. We'll go into utilities. Again, we kind of noted this was an area we did cut back on already. We don't want to go too far, but there was a cushion built in there, so we did cut back on that already a little bit. You know, I think about 15 total, 10 and 5.
Oh, are we, I don't know, we talked about this. Are we putting, sensors in the firehouse so that the lights are off and they open up the doors and go on?
I don't-
Those lights are on every night.
We've talked
I-
to them about that.
I know
Can we put
with,
sensors-
I know there's an OSHA regulation that you can't have those sensors in certain areas where there's a safety concern, because we tried to do that. Yeah, we tried to do that in our warehouse, and halfway through on the forklift, the lights went off on the driver. So it,
So,
yeah, we asked for it to be removed, and then we found out we were an OSHA violation by having the sensors.
So, I mean, those lights are not, I mean, I don't know how much.
I know.
Electricity is being wasted, but
Yeah.
if you're not in the building,
There are LEDs in there, or are they still conventional, the
Matt, do you know where those swapped over to?
LEDs?
Which facility? I'm sorry.
The firehouse. I guess.
Yeah,
they
the
were one or
firehouse.
both. They were swapped.
I know, the most recent project was Fire Company 2 was where they swapped them out. Fire Company
Okay.
1, I can't say that was already done, but it wasn't part of the
it has to
project.
be swapped out for that. I mean, I thought they asked for, door, the sensors, and we said yes. Aren't we gonna do it, or?
Maybe they didn't look to see if that was a thing they could actually do.
Yeah, I've been trying to actually find where it's stated.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to.
I know
find it.
OSHA's different. I think they're POSHA.
Yeah.
They're a little
Yeah,
different,
they're
but it's probably something similar.
Yeah, because I mean, if they need to,
Because you're in there doing something and the lights go off on you, you're
Right.
some problem. Those sensors aren't always
yeah.
accurate. Like if it doesn't know that you're on the other side and something's blocking your movement, and they'll shut off.
All right, skipping down, we can go to public events. Really, the only thing to note there was the seasonal decorations. We did add a couple thousand to that. We bought some new decorations for the tree lighting and Borough Park this year. So that's where that addition came from.
and it also is to put the lights up on the borough buildings, and down.
Down.
So,
Then going down, I mean, pension and social security, these are all that we're obligated to. Sewer did go up. Grants, the special emergencies, that's coming, it's not included this year, so that came out. And then we have not tackled water yet, so just regard that whole bottom, so that pretty much brings us to the end.
Well, the only other major change here is capital and debt service, because we brought the capital budget down so
Yep,
far.
so we'll have to adjust that.
Yeah, we have 225 budgeted here for down payment on capital, but I think Steve, when we just looked at it, we're probably looking at closer to 150 if we pass the capital because we want. So that's 75,000. So if I add all this up, right, and we look at the big police cars moving, the capital expense, down payments being saved, and we move, and 10,000 here, 10,000 there, out, we're looking at we have 64,000 extra, in revenues over appropriations here. So that's assuming 2.1, 2.2 roughly being used for surplus, and that's not including the roughly 100,000 that we could get from the tax appeal from the prison. So we could be looking at 164,000 in excess. I keep saying Bristol, it's not Bristol, sorry. But 164,000 roughly in extra. So that's where we're at. That's what we kind of have to work with. We have potentially 164,000 in excess revenue over appropriations this year. We could reduce the amount of surplus used, right, to balance that out to zero. And then we have to deal with, what do we do with taxes? If we witness this tax dispute with the unnamed property, we expect after 3 years, right? The same amount for roughly 3 or 2 years at least. So we would anticipate another 100,000 next year.
I like to see a 1%. I mean, to give it 0%, we gotta,
We need
for
a
10 years, we did nothing, and then all of a sudden, so if we give it a 1%, that's not fair, because for the vet usually gives you 2. So we're being like,
1% gets us probably $85,000 in extra revenue total.
$82,075 on an average home, which equates to municipal increase of $21 per household.
What's the average home?
424,360.
So double that.
But we're talking about
Yeah, this is based on the old assessment.
So you're looking at 2%.
No, one, that's for a one, it's $40
20.
a year, and
that's 2.
2% is $42 a year, no?
no, I'm saying that the average house in Walden is now $400,000.
Right.
Oh, I see.
It's gonna be closer to the 6 or 7 range these days, and
What was-
Right, but then the rates are gonna change too, so.
Right.
And what was last year?
Right, so the rate will change, so it'll still be $21 roughly a year.
So, $21 is for a 1% increase, 47 for 2%, $51 for 2 1/4, and $55 for 2
What does everybody think?
And again, the municipal portion of the total budget is about 18 to 20%.
What do you think, sir?
1%. Done.
Katie? I know what you're gonna say.
You know what I'm gonna say. I don't want anything to
Mr. Joe?
I'd be okay with 1. I'd rather see 0, but 1% would be, the most, because all the other things are going to go up this year. Obviously, school, I mean, they have such a surplus. I wish they would not increase, but they have, I'm sure they will. And, we're probably going to get any other increases. And people already got hit with the revals, even though not everybody got increased. So I'd be willing to go to 1, but I would prefer 0, but 1 would be okay.
1%.
So I'll try to keep this short. I think practically speaking, it does nothing for us either way. We don't have an $85,000 problem in our budget. We have a problem that's millions of dollars. We're depleting surplus at a rough, we could be depleting surplus $1 million a year. The extra $85,000 we collect in taxes this year is not going to do anything, and we'll run out of surplus before we can tax our way out of the problem. So whether we do 0% or 1% is not doing anything for our budget. So I think we should, anything we say here today, we're coming back, we're gonna have more discussions. I think that honestly, I think that the debate is between 0 and 1% right now. Let's look at capital, let's make sure that that's fully lined up. I don't wanna commit to 0% or 1%. if capital doesn't come in where we want and our outlay for down payment goes back up $100,000, then that changes things dramatically, right? Also, I want to look at some of these areas that we've been talking about. Renegotiation, some of the line items where there's questions. I just don't think we have enough information yet. But I personally don't know where I stand on this.
So you wanna wait till, next meeting to discuss?
I think we still need some more information, but
But I think even on some of the renegotiating, you're not gonna see that we're not gonna be able to see that savings now. On the renegotiating item.
it depends on how quickly we can get them to move. You know, if we start towing vehicles out of our lot,
Yeah.
we may
We
get
are-
them to the
We're already
table.
locked
We're already
in.
set by contract for this.
Locked
Oh,
in
for this year?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
we
that-
don't have
okay.
a lot of wiggle room.
We'd be looking at 25 for that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So we're not, keep in mind what we mentioned earlier,
No,
that this is gonna
doesn't
be the
matter.
first year we're not
No.
regenerating surplus.
This is a huge problem. We're adding back so little to surplus this year. But I still don't think that we could raise, I mean, how much would we have to raise taxes to regenerate that money, right? It's just not possible. So
Couldn't raise that.
we couldn't. So whether we raise it 0%, 1%, or 10%, we still have a huge issue.
But isn't that a huge issue because of the fact that we never raised taxes?
Could be.
It-
So we're getting ourselves in a bigger hole again.
100%.
Correct.
I just don't think
That's
that
why we
this is
can't
a hole
do
we
zero.
can dig out of with taxes, right?
We
So,
can tread water
so
with the increase.
I don't even think we can tread water.
For a little while, we can.
No, I mean, if we're losing $1 million a year in surplus, in 7 years, we will have gained $700,000 in tax revenue with 1% increases. But we'll have $0 in our surplus, and we'll have to cut $2 million from our budget to be able to make it balance. So the math doesn't add up. That's why I'm saying whether it's 1% or 0% or 2%, our bigger issue is we need to generate another $1 million to $1.5 million in tax revenue over the next 5 years in order to be able to survive on this trajectory.
So I think for now, if I understand correctly, we went through, we know where we have adjustments, we have follow-ups. We'll get this much tighter. So we have an idea. This is all pending, audit run
Yes.
and report. So we'll pull everything together. I think by the 13th, we should have that, pretty
Now,
solid.
13th, you want the meeting, we're gonna have our meeting after that.
Correct.
After.
Well, that's how we usually do
Yeah,
it, unless it's
just make the
changed.
agenda very, just make it not
Yeah.
long.
It's not a ton right
There's
now,
not a ton right now, no.
Yeah, if you want to go earlier, go later, whatever.
I just have to renotice it, so it's fine, whatever you want to do.
Sure,
Yeah.
Seven?
Do it earlier?
sure.
That's fine.
You mean-
Half hour?
6:30 talk, we have to get it back.
So we'll have an updated budget sheet sent to you as well as the updated capital. The only thing we'll have to talk about on the 13th is water capital. We haven't addressed that yet, but it's a smaller budget, less for
Yeah.
debate.
And if we could just maybe pinpoint what's going on with Board of Health before our next meeting. That pinpoint.
So do you want me to renotice the February 13th meeting to start at 7 here, the regular meeting?
Regular.
Yeah,
meeting.
and I'll model out for everybody what a 5-year outlook looks like if we hold taxes this year versus a 1%, just so everyone sees what do the finances potentially look like. We'll assume a 10% increase in our insurance costs next year, 3% increase, 4% increase in all of the other expenses, and let's just see what this looks like so we don't have to guess.
And if you have any questions prior to the meeting, I'll speak for myself.
And I would imagine we'll talk offline, but we'll have another meeting next week, at least prior to the
Yeah.
13th.
Yeah, and sorry for being non-committal. I also want to make sure we're not missing like a $250,000 number here, and we're all.
Well, based on the information we have in front of us.
Of course.
Right.
Things can
This
change.
could change.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Things can change as the week goes on. But
Okay. Any, old business in the town?
No, that is
Any new business?
no, there is no. Adjourn.
I can't have the public. know.
You did that already. You just need a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mike, second by Kate.